स्तं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचार्य निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य सतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। So we were discussing chapter 25 canto 4 description of the characteristics of Puranjana. So the chapter it is. I think today we will be trying to cover up. So just a quick recap what we have discussed as of now on this chapter. So once Prachetas, they went for austerity as instructed by Lord Shiva, and then Lord Shiva disappeared from them. So Narada Muni, he wanted to also elevate the father of Prachetas, who is Prachina Bahari or Prachin Barisad. So he came to Prachina Barisad and asked that what you will achieve by engaging in these fruitive sacrifices or karmakanda activities. And then Prachina Bahari asked, actually, please you guide me what the best for me to do. And then without directly instructing Prachina Barisad, Narad Muni started narrating a story which is an imaginative story of Prachina Bahari, of Puranjana. Before that, he said that a grahastha the family life should be used for elevating ourself, our family, to take the path of Krishna consciousness instead of just engaging in karma kand activities. Yeah. So then he continued the story of Puranjana. He said that there was a old story, a king called Puranjana, and he was wandering through many places to fulfill his desire, but he was not finding any place to fulfill his desire. And he was morose, he was disappointed. However, still he was searching for those places. And finally, he entered into Bharatavarsha and into the city of 9 gates. And the city has so many things like walls, parts, towers, canals, windows, many things. And there we discussed what these all things are. And then eventually he also saw a beautiful lady, a very charming lady called as Puranjini. And then he inquired from her, who are you? Whose daughter are you? Looks like the providence has brought you for me. And eventually we saw that Puranjini also got attracted toward the king. She said, oh, who is the one who won't take your side? Because you are very brave, you are very, famous king, right? And then eventually they both get married. So what the story is, Puranjana is the living entity of Jiva, and Puranjini is the intelligence or intelligence with material sense desires. So it's actually a story of the whole human being only, not another king or queen. It's just about the story of a same person as a living entity Jiva, and as he enters, he has so many desires, so he takes around circle of birth and life, birth and death continues. Eventually he founds a place of a human body which has a 9 gates, and then he uses his intelligence for sense enjoyment, right? So that is the whole kind of relation between the story of Puranjana and Puranjani. So then we discussed about those what those 9 gates are. Yeah, I think last week we talked about that 9 gates. 9 gates, it says the 2 eyes, and the 2 eyes. The Bhagavatam explains about the 4 sections. It says the gates of the city, and that's correspond to the holes of the body and the destination, and then the friends. There are each has an unknown friend with that, like eyes, the left and eye, right eyes, they could see the form, and their friend is Duyaman. Duyaman is basically sun. So because of sun or sunlight, we could see something. Without the presence of light, we won't be able to see it. So though we have our eyes, the eye has the capability to see, but still without the presence of light, without the presence of sun, we won't be able to see it. Though we don't know it, but actually the sun is required, or their friendship is required. And then we talked about 2 nostrils. Those act as in inhaling and exhaling and smelling, 3 activities. And Avadhuta is air, because of whom we can actually smell. So without air, we won't be able to smell at all. The fragrance moves from one place to another place just because of air. That's the friend, which is Avadhuta. And then we talked about the mouth, which is the 5th gate, which is chief gate as well. And mouth does 2 things: he eat and speak, right? And the friend for tongue is Rasagya, and a friend for the speaking power is Vipana. So by the presence of the accompanying friend Rasagya, the tongue is able to taste the food, and because of the friend of Vipana, we are able to speak out. The voice comes out from that. And then the sixth hole, that's our right ear. Right ear, where generally the karma kanda activities are being heard from that, which is going to have planets. And then the left ear, where we can elevate more higher towards Swargaloka, or if you take up to Krishna consciousness, it can go to Vaikuntha as well. And the friend for the ear is Sudhara. So because of that, we actually able to hear this. And then we talked about the other 2 holes, which are in the lower part of the body. These are demonic, or the genitals and rectum. And then the friends were Durmada and Lobdhaka. That is still that we discussed. Yeah. And yeah, I think we also discussed this point 52. Yeah. So I think we covered this chapter, looks like to me. But anyway, let's read a few more verses.
I think we have finished this chapter.
Yeah, I could recall it now. Yeah. So I think we did this whole chapter where we says that this Puranjani, or I mean both were they were both captivated by each other, and Puranjana completely captured by the intelligence. Yeah, we discussed this point actually, this whole big translation as well. So he fulfills all her desires. The Puranjana being captivated by his wife Puranjani, it means the body or Jiva entrapped in the body. He tries to fulfill the desire of his intelligence, the material desires, and then he followed everything. He start following everything of whatever his wife says. This is a verse which says, when the queen drank liquor, the king Puranjana also engaged in drinking. When the queen dined, he used to dine with her. When the king chewed, King Puranjana used to achieve with her. So all the activities are being directed by Puranjani, or the material intelligence, you can say about, right? It's like a pet animal. That the last verse he says, no, the King Puranjana was captivated by his nice wife and thus cheated. Indeed, he became cheated into the whole existence of material world, right? So, okay, so let us see the next chapter then. That is text chapter 26, which says the King Puranjana goes to the forest to hunt, and his queen became angry or becomes angry. So let us see the next connection of this chapter. What happens? Okay. Narad uvacha sa ekada maheshwaso ratham panchashvam ashugam द्विशं द्विचक्रम एकक्षं त्रिवेणुं पञ्चबन्धुरम् एकारस्यम् एकदमनम् एकनीदं द्विकुबरं पञ्चपर्णं सप्त रुथं पञ्चविक्रमम् हैमोक्पक्षकरम् आरुह्य स्वर्णवर्माक्ष्या कक्ष्याक्षेषुधि एकादश चमुनाथ पंच प्रस्थम अगाधवनम. Kishori Prabhu.
Okay. The great sage Narada continued, My dear king, once upon a time, King Puranjana took up his great bow and equipped with golden armor and a choir of unlimited arrows and accompanied by 11 commanders. He sat on his chariot driven by 5 swift horses and went to the forest named Panchaprastha. He took with him in that chariot 2 explosive arrows. The chariot itself was situated on 2 wheels and 1 revolving axle. On the chariot were 3 flags, 1 rein, 1 chariot driver, 1 sitting place, 2 poles to which the harness was fixed, 5 weapons and 7 coverings. The chariot moved in 5 different styles, and 5 obstacles lay before it. All the decorations of the chariot were made of gold.
So it's basically, it's again another analogy within the analogy actually. So we are hearing the story of Puranjana, which is a metaphorical story, and within that this part is again going to more deeper. Let us see. So just a quick recap, what we saw: Puranjana, right? Puranjana is the living entity or the soul, right? And then Puranjani is the intelligence, yeah, which is kind of, we can say, material intelligence, which is not thinking about Krishna consciousness or elevating things, but has so many unlimited desires. Now, what he says that let's let it put first, and then we'll come back. It might make more clearer to us. So these 3 verses explain how the material body of the living entity is under the control of the 3 qualities of the external energies, right? The body itself is the chariot, right? Another analogy now, right? Where the living entity is the owner of the body. So it's a chariot, living, and the body is chariot, and the living entity is the owner of the body. I explain in Bhagavad Gita 2.13, Dehino asmin yatha dehe komaram yavanam jara, like that words. The owner of the body is called Dehi, and he is situated within this body, specifically within the heart. The living entity is driven by one chariot driver. Yeah, the chariot itself is made of the 3 gunas, right? So chariot is made of 3 gunas, that is the mode of goodness, passion and ignorance, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 18.16, yatha rudhanti maya. The word yatra means carriage. The body is given by the material nature, and the driver of the body is the Paramatma, the super soul. And the living entity is seated within the chariot. This is the actual position. Yeah. So the living entity is always being influenced by the three qualities: Sataguna, Rajas, passion, and Tamas, the ignorance. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7.13. Trivir Gunamayer Bhavi. The living entity is bewildered by the three qualities of the material nature. These three qualities are described in this verse as the three flags, right? And by a flag, one can come to know who the owner of the chariot is. Similarly, by the influence of the three qualities of the material nature, one can easily know the direction in which the chariot is moving. In other words, one who has eyes to see can understand how the body is being driven, influenced by the particular type of quality of material nature. In these three verses, the activity of the living entity is described to prove how the body becomes influenced by the quality of ignorance. Even when a person wants to be religious, Narad Muni wants to prove to King Prachin Bharisa that the king was being influenced by the Tamoguna, the quality of ignorance, even though the king was supposed to be very religious. Okay, let's read out. It will make more clearer to us. According to Karma Kandiya, the process of food activities, a person performs various sacrifices directed by the Vedas, and in all those sacrifices, animal killing or experimenting on the life of animals to test the power of the Vedic mantras is enjoined. Animal killing is certainly conducted under the influence of mode of ignorance, even though one may be religiously inclined. Yeah, see the point. Yeah, so he says animal killing is certainly inclined. Yeah, is actually because of though person is religiously inclined, he thinks, okay, I'm doing religious activity by animal killing by following the Vedas, but this is actually conducted under the mode of ignorance. Yeah, so animal sacrifice is recommended in the Shastras, not only in the Vedas, but even in the modern scriptures of other sects. These animal sacrifices are recommended in the name of religion, but actually animal sacrifice is meant for person in the mode of ignorance. It's quite clear, right? When such a person kills animal, they can at least do so in the name of religion. However, when the religious system is transcendental, like the Vaishnava religion, there is no place for animal sacrifice, and such a transcendental religious system is recommended by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita 8.66, which is very famous verse. Yeah, where it says Sarvadharmam Parityaja Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tvam Sarvapapebhyo Mokshayami Ma Suchaha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Because King Prachin Bharisat was engaged in performing various sacrifices in which animals were killed, Narad Muni pointed out that such sacrifices are influenced by the mode of ignorance. Yeah. So from the very beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.2, it is said, Dharma Projita Kaitavatra. All kinds of religious systems that are involved in cheating are completely kicked out of Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah, I mean, there is no cheating at all. In the Bhagavad Dharma, the religion dealing with one's relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, animal sacrifice is not recommended. So this is not recommended for Krishna consciousness. In the performance of Sankirtana Yagya, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. There is no recommendation for animal sacrifices, right? In these three verses, King Puranjana is going to the forest to kill animals. Sorry, I'll repeat. King Puranjana is going to the forest to kill animals is symbolic of the living entities being driven by the mode of ignorance, and thus engaging in different activities for sense gratification. So, mode of ignorance implies activities for sense gratification. The material body itself indicates that the living entity is already influenced by the three modes of material nature and that he is driven to enjoy material resources. When the body is influenced by the mode of ignorance, its infection becomes very acute. When it is influenced by the mode of passion, then infection is at a sympathetic, sym, symptomatic stage. However, when the body is influenced by the mode of goodness, the materialistic infection becomes purified. Yeah. So the ritualistic ceremonies recommended in the religious systems are certainly on the platform of goodness. Yeah. So what to be performed in the mode of goodness? But because within this material world, even the mode of goodness is sometimes polluted by the other qualities, namely passion and ignorance, a man in goodness is sometimes driven by the influence of ignorance as well. Because we always have these three guna all the time acting with us. Depending upon time, place, circumstances, one takes over the another. Right? It always goes back and forth. These three, goodness, ignorance, and passion, they are fighting all the time to each other within our body to take cover. Like as soon as we see surrounding becomes more envious, we becomes passionate, or ignorance in the very morning time is goodness is more prominent, like that. It is herein described that King Puranjana once went to the forest to kill animals. This means that he, the living entity, came under the influence of the mode of ignorance. The forest in which King Puranjana engaged in hunting was named as Panchaprastha. Means what? Pancha means five. So Panchaprastha means five object of five senses. Yeah. The body has five working senses. Basically, Panchaprastha means the five working senses, namely the hands, the legs, the tongues, the rectum, and the genitals. By taking full advantage of these working senses, the body enjoys material life. The chariot is driven by the five horses, which represent the five sense organs, namely the eyes, ears, nose, skin, and tongue. These sense organs are very easily attracted by the sense objects, right? So five working senses and five five working senses and the five sense organs, right? So these sense organs are very attracted by the sense object. Consequently, the horses are described as moving swiftly in five different directions, And on the chariot, King Puranjana kept two explosive weapons. What are those explosive weapons are? Which may be compared to ahankara or false ego. This false ego is typified by two attitudes, that I am the body, ahanta, and everything in this body relationships belongs to me, mamata. So the two wheels of the chariot may be compared to the two moving facilities, namely sinful life and righteous life. The chariot is described with three flags, which represents. I'm not sure if someone is artistic here. They can make this beautiful chariot with what represents what. So the chariot is decorated with three flags. Maybe in today's world we can put this to Chat GPT and he can give us an image. So these three modes, the flags are three modes, and 5 kinds of obstacles or uneven roads represent the 5 kinds of air passing within the body, and these airs are prana, apana, udana, samana, vyana. So we have 5 kinds of air in our body, and the body itself is covered by 7 coverings, namely skin, muscle, fat, blood, marrow, bone, and semen. The living entity is covered by the 3 subtle metal elements and 5 gross metal elements. These are actually obstacles placed before the living entity on the path of liberation from metal bondage. The word Rashmi, rope, in this verse indicates the mind. The word Nida is also significant, for the Nida indicates the nest where a bird takes rest. In this case, Nida is the heart where the living entity is situated. The living entity sits in one place only. The causes of his bondage are two, namely lamentation and illusion. In material existence, the living entity simply hankers to get something he can never get. Therefore, he is in illusion. As a result of being in this illusory situation, the living entity is always lamenting. Thus, lamenting and illusions are described herein as dvikubara, or two posts of bondage. The living entity carries out various desires through 5 different processes, which indicate the working of the 5 working senses. The golden ornament and dress indicate that the living entity is influenced by the quality of passion. One who has a good deal of money or riches is especially driven by the mode of passion. Being influenced by the mode of passion, one desires so many things for enjoyment in the material world. The 11 commanders represent the 10 senses and the mind. The mind is always making plans with the 10 commanders to enjoy the material world. The forest named Panchaprastha, where the king went to hunt, is the forest of the 5 sense objects: form, taste, sound, smell, and touch. Thus, in these 3 verses, Narad Muni describes the position of the material body and the engagement of the living entity within it. Yeah. So, and let's now read a bit this translation once again. He says what? That Narada Muni continued, my dear king, once upon a time, the king Puranjana. So, dear king means is a king, Prachina Bharisat. He's Narada Muni addressing to Prachina Bharisat. That king Puranjana took off his great bow and equipped with golden armor and quiver of unlimited arrows and accompanied by the 11 commanders. 11 commanders are the 10 senses plus mind. 11. He sat on his chariot driven by 5 horses, 5 sense objects, or 5 senses actually, and went to the forest named Panchaprastha. Panchaprastha is the 5 sense objects. He took with him the chariot with 2 explosive arrows, his false egos. Yeah. The chariot itself was situated on the 2 wheels. What the 2 wheels were? Anyone recalls? 2 wheels were this activities, sinful activities and the pious activities, which is revolving, right? In Excel. On the chariot, there are 3 flags, or 3 modes, yeah, and 1 rein, and 1 chariot driver. Chariot driver is the super soul, right? 1 sitting place, and then the 2 poles to which the harness was fixed. So the 2 poles were the lamentation and illusion, yeah, and the 5 weapons and 7 covering. 5 weapons were I think the 5 kinds of air in the body, and the 7 covering is the 7 layers of the body, yeah, like skin, marrow, and other things. The chariot moved in 5 different styles, and 5 obstacles lay before it. So because no, I think the 5 different 5 obstacles were the 5 air in the body, which are very uneven for the chariot to drive. Yeah. And then all the decorations of the chariot were made of gold. Okay, so this is the whole description of the body itself as in chariot. Yeah, but also we see the same analogy. Let me say that I think we did say earlier. Let me find it and share it. Yeah, so this is the one which we see earlier. Yeah, so these the 5 horses, the 5 senses, the reins, the mind, the driver is super soul, and the passenger is the soul itself, right? Those wheels, the 2 wheels were the passion and lamentation, illusion, and the other 2 were as described our sinful activities and pious activities. Yeah, in that way. Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, Prabhuji, what are the 5 obstacles?
5 obstacles were, Mataji, there are uneven roads. These are 5 kinds of air. So that we read at the bottom. So here, the 5 kinds of obstacles or uneven roads, which represent the 5 kinds of air passing within the body. These are the prana, apana, udana, samana, and vyana. 5 kinds of air within the body. That are the obstacles.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you.
Yeah. So this also a bit elaborate the things, and we can add more things into that, like the wheels are the 2 wheels we can say as sinful and pious activities, right? And the reins are the mind anyway. Yeah. And the 2 explosive he took were those the ego, 2 things, that's what ahanta and mamata. Yeah. एक निदाम panchasun akshavar mamata were there 2 things. This word comes as anta, and I think read it here. Yeah, here these 2 words, you know. These are false egos. Ahanta, I'm this body, and the mamata is everything belong to me. It's kind of that. Okay, so let's move on. So we understood the analogy of this body as in chariot. Yeah. So just remember that this is a story of a king, but also this also represents with the same living entity and also within the body. So now this king who has entered the forest of the body itself, right, where different senses, mind, intelligence, and the air, happiness, sorrow, lamentation, illusion, they're all working differently. These are the ingredients, you can say, of this analogy. Or we can say that in the forest, these are the things what King Puranjan is going to find out. Yeah, let us see what's in next. चचार मृगायां तत्र द्रुप्य अतेषु कर्मुखा विहाय जायं तथा अर्हं मृगव्यासन Yes, Jai Mataji.
Yes, that's okay. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yes, please.
It is almost impossible for King Puranajana to give up the company of his queen, even for a moment. Nonetheless, on that day, being very much inspired by the desire to hunt, he took up his bow and arrow with great pride and went to the forest, not caring for his wife.
Okay, let us see how. So for now, till now, the king Puranjana, he was always accompanying with his queen, the intelligence, and he could not give up even for a moment. However, on this day when he thought to go to the forest, he was being very much inspired by desire to hunt. And he took up his bow and arrow with great fright and went to the forest, not caring for his wife. Yeah. So let's understand what that means. So one form of hunting is known as the woman hunting. A conditioned soul is never satisfied with one wife. Those whose senses are very much uncontrolled specifically try to hunt for many women. King Puranjana, abandoning the company of his religiously married wife, let's read again. King Puranjana's abandoning the company of his religiously married wife is representative of the conditioned soul's attempt to hunt for many women for sense gratification. Whenever a king goes, he is supposed to be accompanied by his queen. But when the king or the conditioned soul becomes greatly overpowered by the desire of sense gratification, he does not care for religious principle. So here, in this context, the king giving up his wife without caring of his wife means the living entity did not care about his religious principles. And going to hunt means he's going to engage in sinful activities like that. So instead, with great pride, he accept the bow and arrow of attachment and hatred. These are two bows. And our consciousness is always working in two ways, the right way and the wrong way. When one becomes too proud of his position, influenced by the mode of passion, he gives up the right path and accepts the wrong one. Kshatriya kings are sometimes advised to go to the forest to hunt ferocious animals just to learn how to kill, but such forays are never meant for sense gratification. Yeah, killing animals to eat their flesh is forbidden for human being. Okay, so anyway, this king, having a desire to hunt, he went. So what we understood is the hunting is basically here represent the woman hunting or for more sense gratification, giving up his religious wife. Religious wife here is his married wife is compared to the religious principles. Yeah, and the bow and arrow are compared to the attachment and hatred. Okay, now let's see one more verses if we can cover today. आशुरीं वृत्तिम् आश्रित्य घोरात्मा निरङ्गुरः न्याहनं निस्तिर्बाणेषु वनगोचरान्. Yeah, Urmila Mataji.
Hare Krishna. At that time, King Prunjana was very much influenced by demonic propensities. Because of this, his heart became very hard and merciless. And with the sharp arrow, he killed many innocent animals in the forest, taking no consideration. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So now this king has entered the forest alone without his wife. Now he was influenced by demonic propensities. Earlier we discussed about he was influenced by the mode of ignorance. Yeah, and because of this, his heart became very hard and merciless. And through sharp arrows, right, what he did, he killed so many innocent animals in the forest. So let us read Prabhupada's purport. When a man becomes too proud of his material position, he tries to enjoy his senses in an unrestricted way, being influenced by the mode of passion and ignorance. He is thus described as asuric or demonic. When people are demonic in spirit, they are not merciful toward the poor animal. Consequently, they maintain various animal slaughterhouses. This is technically called suna or hinsa, which means the killing of living beings. In Kali Yuga, due to increase of the mode of passion and ignorance, almost all men are asuric or demonic. Therefore, they are very much fond of eating flesh, and for this end, they maintain various kinds of animal slaughterhouses. In this age of Kali, the propensity for mercy is almost nil. Consequently, there is always fighting and wars between men and nations. The men do not understand that because they unrestrictedly kill so many animals, they also must be slaughtered like animals in a big war. Right? Very, very important, actually, purpose writing here, isn't it? And very, very to the point too. Yeah. So we can understand that why the big wars happens is because men do not understand that they are killing animals without any restrictions, and hence they are also being slaughtered like animals in a big wars. This is very much evident in the Western countries. In the West, slaughterhouses are maintained without restrictions, and therefore every 5th or 10 years there is a big war in which countless people are slaughtered even more cruelly than animals. Oh my God. See? I mean, actually we can relate it, isn't it? We can relate it, how it's going towards. Sometimes during war, soldiers kept their enemies in a concentration camps and kill them in a very cruel ways. They are reactions brought about by unrestricted animal killing in the slaughterhouses and by hunters in the forest. Proud demonic persons do not know the law of nature or the laws of God. Consequently, they unrestrictedly kill poor animals, not caring for them at all. In the Krishna conscious movement, animal killing is completely prohibited. One is not accepted as a bona fide student in this movement unless he promises to follow the 4 integrity principles: no animal killing, no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling. This Krishna consciousness movement is only means by which the sinful activities of man in this Kali Yuga can be counteracted. Wow, I think very, very brilliant purport, isn't it? And how we correlate this very, very well, that how this 4 regulative principles which should be kept intact. So this actually all come from the Bhagavatam itself. And there's a verse in Bhagavatam, Striya Sunam Ditam Panam. So these are the 4 things for adharma. Striya means illicit sexual, Sunam is animal killing, Dvitam is gambling, and Panam is intoxication. So as these 4 things, as people they engage more in these 4 things, this gives strength and flourishes adharma in this world, or sinful activity in this world. So like the devotees, they get energy, they get power, they get strength by chanting holy name, by reading Srimad Bhagavatam, associating with the devotee, going to temple. In a similar way, the people who are in a mode of demonic, or who they get energy by all these 4 things. So if people in this world they do more of animal killing, more of intoxication, more of illicit sexual activities, more of gambling, then it consequently flourishes the sins or violence in this world. So Prabhupada says that this Krishna conscious movement is the only way by which these sinful activities of man in this Kali Yuga can be counteracted. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. I think I passed a bit. So we will continue next week from text number 6. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Great.